Tekashi 6ix9ine is not going to do a life sentence, and we don't know that he's cooperated with the prosecutor and he's become a snitch. All these people putting all these videos out there right now saying he's doing life, he's going to have a trial next year, he's already been snitching, that's why he's been moved to another prison. This is complete and utter BS. These people have no idea what they are talking about. What gives me expertise in this? I was facing the exact same charges as Tekashi 6ix9ine is right now. So Tekashi has got a Rico conspiracy case. What is Rico? Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act. Nobody's explaining what this means. These laws were introduced to take down the mafia. So, you've got a mafia boss like Paul Castellano in his replica of a White House, prancing around in his silk pajamas, not leaving this mansion on the hill, and he's not actually physically committing any crimes. But you've got the orders coming down the ranks. The foot soldiers are out there hoisting trucks, extorting people, dealing in weapons. So how does the prosecutor indict the mafia boss for these crimes? They created Rico. Under Rico, you have usually a mastermind at the top. So this is the mafia boss in this case. Then you have all of the co-conspirators, the co-defendants, and it all becomes one case. Whatever actions the co-conspirators commit, whatever crimes they do, the boss becomes responsible for them. Now, in my case, we had what's called a crime syndicate charge, conspiracy charge, continuous criminal organization charge. These are the equivalents of Rico at the Arizona state level. Tekashi is getting prosecuted by the feds. So in the crime syndicate, everybody has a different letter of the alphabet. I was A, I was at the top of the crime syndicate. B was Wild Woman, Wild Man's girlfriend. And C was Wild Man. And so on and so on and so on down the ranks. They ended up arresting over 100 people in my case, over 100 co-defendants. Now, in Tekashi's case, they're saying he's part of the 9 Trey Bloods. And because Tekashi is so high profile, he's going to be near the top echelon of the crime syndicate, because that's how the prosecutor is going to make her headlines, by nailing him. And that's going to enhance the prosecutor's career. That's why he's going to be super targeted for doing prison time. But he's not going to get a life sentence. I'm going to come to this in a minute, because I managed to get my sentence down to between 5 to 10 years without snitching. So we're going to get to the strategies coming up now as to how Tekashi can get his sentence down. When you first get arrested, so him and his co-defendants have all been arrested now, the prosecution has got the case paperwork, and they've had that case paperwork for years. It's been building up. In terms of my case, there was so much paperwork it would have filled whole rooms. It's a complex case, got all these co-defendants. Tekashi's lawyer has probably seen the original indictment. In my case, I saw the grand jury indictment. That's the first thing that your lawyer gets, is your indictment. But it took months for all this information, the legal discovery, to flow over to my lawyer. Now, people are saying that Tekashi got moved right away to another prison because he's agreed to cooperate with the police. That is definitely not the case at this point. And let me explain why. Because when Tekashi got arrested with his homeboys, they would have got their lawyers right away, and the lawyers have not got all of the legal discovery They have no idea what they are even up against. Why would Tekashi or any of his crew snitch if they have no idea what kind of trouble that they're in yet? It's going to take months for all that information to go over to the lawyers, and that's why Tekashi's lawyer has asked for the trial date to be extended from the summer of next year to later on next year. But that trial is never going to happen, and I'm also going to explain why that is as well. That's going to be coming up. So, Tekashi was moved away from his homeboys. They said because of security concerns, which mean there might be of some kind of threat. But this plays right into the prosecutor's game, because the prosecutor wants to separate Tekashi from his co-defendants to make it look like he's snitching. So all these people out on the internet saying Tekashi's snitching right now are playing right into the prosecutor's game. They want to divide and conquer the co-defendants. So here are the 3 strategies for beating a Rico conspiracy case. And when I say beat, I mean not get a life sentence. I was facing a 200-year maximum sentence and serious drug offender status, which carried 25 years to life. And the 3 heads of the crime syndicate, me, Wildman, and Wild Woman, none of us did more than 10 years. And as far as me and Wildman were concerned, we managed to get that down to less than 10 years without snitching. So here's the 3 strategies now, what you need to do if you ever find yourself in this situation. Strategy number 1 is form a united front defense. When I was in the remand jail in the very beginning in the Horseshoe in Phoenix, Arizona back in 2002, in these grim holding cells where prisoners just passed from cell to cell, cramped in like sardines, there was an old timer who'd been shipped over from Florida to face some additional charges. This guy knew the system inside and out. He was serving life. And he sat down with me and my co-defendants and he said, look, what the state is going to do now, they will assign you all a scumbag public defender. And the scumbag public defender will just try and encourage you guys to snitch, to cooperate, to just sign a plea bargain right away. So this guy doesn't have to do any work at all. And he can get on to his next victim because he just gets a fee and then he can get on to his next client. What you guys need to do, the old timer said, have one high-priced lawyer act as the lead lawyer on the case, giving guidance to all of the other lawyers representing the co-defendants. So that's what I did. My family hired a lawyer that had been recommended to me actually by the New Mexican Mafia before I got arrested. And this guy did a hell of a job. So we form a united defense. Now, in the beginning, I'm housed in medium security Towers jail with a lot of my co-defendants. Some of them were in Durango. So how do you get the word out to your co-defendants that this is going on? Because you've got to stay united within the prison system, as well as the lawyers being united as well. So obviously the guys I'm housed with in Towers jail, I could get the word out to them right away. There even became a point where I clicked up with some Italian mafia dudes who were running the whites in my tower, and they moved more of my co-defendants into my building. They couldn't move Wildman into my pod because the prosecutor put do not house together on us so that we wouldn't be co-conspiring together. With Tekashi being separated from his co-defendants in a different prison, this isn't necessarily going to work as good, but when he's going to court, you're in holding cells before you go in the courtroom, and you don't want to yell things out. My lawyer told me not to yell things out in these holding cells because the guards can listen and record this stuff and give it to the cops. But you can get prisoner trustees to pass little messages down. You write down on paper called kites, and they will, if Tekashi's in one cell on a run and the other co-defendants on another cell, you can get words sent down the cells like that. So Tekashi, if he's to beat this case without all of these guys cooperating against each other and snitching, falling like dominoes, the prosecutor relies on the domino theory, he's got the money, he's got the millions to get a high-priced lead lawyer to form a united defense. So that is the first strategy, which leads directly into the second strategy, no snitching. Now, in my case, I had over 100 co-defendants, but there was a huge ecstasy case that came a couple of years before mine, a year or so before mine, and that was Sammy the Bull Gravano, underboss of the Gambino crime family, who was my competitor in the ecstasy business. In Sammy the Bull's case, 57 co-defendants approximately, they all agreed to snitch. As soon as one or two of them fell and were cooperated, the rest were like, all right, well, if they're saving their asses and we're not going to do life sentence while they save their asses. So every single one of them agreed to cooperate with the prosecution. Sammy the Bull Gravano, as the head of that crime syndicate, he got a 20-year sentence. He only just got released a couple of years ago. So in my case, if all of my co-defendants had snitched, I would probably either have just got out of prison or still be in prison right now, facing that 200-year maximum sentence. So form the united defense, don't have people snitch, and beware of these prosecutor games that make it look like you're snitching. So I'm in Towers Jail for a year. I'm giving my co-defendants guidance on staying tight and giving them the latest legal developments from my lawyer and what's going on, sharing the positive news, watching that everybody doesn't cooperate and encouraging them not to cooperate. Prosecutor's sick of this. So a year after I'm on pre-trial, I get moved over to the maximum security Madison Street Jail. The prosecutor doubled my bail to $1.5 million. She moved me away from all of my co-defendants. And one of my co-defendants, a high-ranking one, did break down at this point. She reached out to me and I couldn't get word back to her. And she did agree to testify against me. But out of over 100 people that were arrested, only 4 agreed to testify. So this ruined the case for the prosecution because they arrest you, charge you with way too many things, hype the case up, and they're relying on everybody else falling into line, cooperating, snitching, and giving them all the information to back up the case. But in my case, only 4 agreed to cooperate, so they didn't have enough information to give me a high sentence. So that's how you can avoid that from happening. But even in the maximum security Madison Street Jail, I still went to court with my co-defendants. I was still in the holding cells or on the run of holding cells with them. If they were in a medium security cell, I would be in a maximum security cell. I could get word down to them one way or another. And there are ways for people to go street for street. My girlfriend could get word to your girlfriend on the street what's going on with the case if you want to keep that united defense and no snitching thing tight. Strategy number 3, courtroom decorum. So, we just had Shotty mouthing off in front of a federal judge. No folding, no bending, we're standing strong. This is a misguided application of these strategies that I'm giving you here today. Yeah, no folding, no bending, no snitching, united defense. But you don't just stand in front of the judge and shout that out like an idiot. I had an experience as well. So we're in court facing life sentences. It's very serious. This is grave business now. We're fighting for our lives. Our female co-defendants join the male co-defendants in the elevator, in the lift. Wild woman shows up with rainbow hair that she's dyed with Kool-Aid years before Tekashi came about. Every colour of the friggin' rainbow using Kool-Aid to dye it. We were packed into this elevator with the female co-defendants. So wild man and wild woman are doing grab ass and bump and grind, getting sexy. We get into the courtroom. Wild woman's there showing off her rainbow hair. Wild man and wild woman are blowing kisses and just acting up. The judge completely stopped the court proceedings and kicked wild man and wild woman out of the courtroom for horseplay. If there's one person whose arse you need to kiss, it is the judge. You need to show respect in that courtroom. Shotty, the strategy is good, but the way you're applying it is wrong. Spread word out to the homies behind the scenes. Don't put that shit out on Front Street like that in the courtroom, because you're just going to aggravate your own sentence. At the end of the day, what's going to happen in this case is if these guys don't snitch, they could all get 5 to 10 year sentences, I reckon, unless they've got some serious previous federal convictions. If you've got previous convictions of serious crimes in state or fed, serious crimes, they can use it in court. They're going to aggravate these guys' sentences into the teens or maybe into the early 20s. So if they've got no priors and they don't cooperate and they end up at the end of the day just signing a plea bargain, not going to trial, these cases hardly ever go to trial. The justice system is a business model. If you go to trial, they'll make an example out of you. They'll aggravate your sentence. They need to all sign plea bargains. That's not snitching. That's just admitting to lesser crimes than what you were originally charged with. Prosecutors like a used car salesperson. They're coming in right now saying life sentence, 30 plus years, plus life sentences. We've got murder conspiracy here. We've got weapons charges. They throw all the mud at you in the beginning to scare the living daylights out of you. And then they negotiate that stuff down over time. So they will need to sign plea bargains for lesser charges and get up in front of the judge and say, Your Honor, I plead guilty to such and such a charge. I've had all these bad things happen in my life. In Tekashi's case, his dad was murdered. That's a huge mitigating circumstances. Mitigating circumstances reduce time for your sentence. Aggravating circumstances add time to your sentence. Shotty mouthing off in the courtroom is an aggravating factor for his sentence. So you get up in front of the judge and you say, here's the things that have happened in my life that have put me on this path. I've had time to reflect in prison and see the wrong I've been doing and the harm I've been causing society. And the justice system should be tempered with mercy. It shouldn't all be all about punishment and rehabilitation. You've got to show remorse. Get your family members in there. Get some letters sent in from people who support you. And it's an emotional experience, man. My dad, when he was talking about me and how he'd supported me throughout my life and how I'd let the family down, I started crying in the courtroom because I think even the stenographer was shedding some tears. It's a really traumatic and emotional experience getting sentenced. So show absolute respect, show remorse. There are people who are innocent, who've done things. The prosecutors say, we'll let you out tomorrow if you'll sign a plea bargain saying you're guilty, and they say no. And then they get found guilty and they've not done it. And they say to the judge, Your Honor, I didn't do it. I'm innocent. And the judge says, you were found guilty in a court of law and you're not showing remorse. I'm going to give you the maximum aggravated sentence. So it's very important. Strategy 3, courtroom, decorum. But that's the end stage. So other nonsense things that are going around on the internet about Tekashi. Nothing has been confirmed that he snitched. Nothing has been confirmed that he's been attacked. There was a picture showing him of like a bust lip mugshot or something like that. I don't know if that was doctored or if that was real. Maybe he has been attacked, maybe he's not. But when you get your mugshot as soon as you go in. So he would have gone to the general population probably after they took his mugshot. So he would have been attacked after, not before. Maybe the police bumped him around a little bit when they were putting him in there. There's rumors going around now because of his sexual misconduct case has been scrapped by, his probation's been scrapped by the state that he was pled guilty to that sexual misconduct. That's been put aside. That's not because he snitched. That's because the state is bowing down to the feds. The feds have got him. They're going to put him away. He can't obey his conditions of probation, see a probation officer, etc. So they've had to get that out of the way to let the feds send this guy up to the big house. So I've detailed there exactly how to beat a Rico conspiracy case, the strategies that you need to adopt if you're ever in this situation, like the mafia, how to get this sentencing down to 5 to 10 years, which as I believe is what you'll do. There will not be a trial. he may get attacked. He may get extorted. All these things are yet to happen. There's going to be a lot more drama to come. And you know, it's such a shame because the kid is topping the Billboard charts right now with his new songs, his new album. I've watched these videos with the Breakfast Club, the interviews that he did, and I see in him that he's just high on his own success. He's done phenomenally well in the music business, and it's such a shame that he got involved in this sex case with a 13-year-old. What a fucking dumbass to begin to screw his life up like that. And then they said to him, look, we'll give you a pass on that, no prison time, if you just behave yourself. And what is he doing? He's going out, putting pictures of him with guns, basically giving all the cops the evidence. So watching him in the Breakfast Club interviews, he talks the game and he acts all street smart, but at the end of the day, he's an amateur, and the only way he's going to get out of this now is if he uses his money to get a United Defense lawyer thing set up, and these guys don't cooperate against each other. But they're going to be going to all the co-defendants saying, hey, we want Tekashi. He's the big name for us. Come on, come over to us and snitch. Then we won't give you 20 years. We'll just give you time served. So if you've got any other questions about the Tekashi case, put them in the comments section. I've got a Tekashi playlist. It'll be in the description box below this video. And previously, you know, I said that he would end up in the feds on the other video. Everybody laughed. So all along so far, everything's worked out what we've predicted. Let's see if these predictions become true as well. Cheers from London. Thanks for supporting this channel and subscribing. Take care out there. Have a good Christmas season.